But I believe this is not a long-term issue. We have to see through times that usually the Bangladesh has already been importing a lower amount. You know that India is the second largest import source of raw materials and other final goods for Bangladesh. So Bangladesh imports around 14 billion US dollar goods from India in every year, and major part of this import is raw materials. So for raw materials, when actually export declines, then import of raw materials also declines. Recently, Bangladesh faced such situation that little decline in export is found, and therefore we saw that some decline in import of raw materials we found. On the other hand, the previous year we had import around 83 billion US dollars from global market, as because of foreign currency reserves and very high exchange rate. You know that's 1 year ago we had a very big change in exchange rate from 83, 85 US dollar taka per US dollar. It has been changed to 100. Now it is around 20, 118, 20. So it's a big shift, around 40% decline in local currency. So therefore, every import has become costlier now. If it is consumer goods, that is costly. Even for raw materials, it's also become costly. So when things become costly, purchasing declines always. Therefore, it's a cause that why the import has declined. We found that from the previous year, in comparison with the last year we found that around 20% import of Bangladesh declined. So it's a significant figure, 20% decline in import. It is because of the high cost of foreign currency and also the reserve crisis. So we believe that now it will not persist longer. It will be easier now. Now we are in I believe it's in a comfortable situation. But some banks are having some problems with supporting importers. So I believe that within a short time it will be overcome and importers will be able to import goods from everywhere. India being our neighbor, we believe that India will remain major trading partners always, because we have to import raw materials. We have to import daily commodities like edible things, rice, onion, many other things. We have to import cotton, fabric. So it is a big amount of cotton and fabrics have been imported from India. Also the capital machineries. Many importers buy capital machineries from India. So these are the things that will never change. I think in future this import will be increased. The question is that in turn of import, that how much we can export to India. Last year we've exported around 2 billion US dollars, when we imported around 14 billion. So the export-import gap is very huge. It's a concern always, but I believe that because of the healthy trading situation, this balance should be reduced. I think this gap should be reduced. But we have limited product to export to India. That's a constraint. But India has a huge basket of product for exporting to Bangladesh, especially the raw materials and edible items. So this is the strength of India. Recently, we found some decline in export and import with India, but this is not a very long-term issue, I believe. It will be overcome. One issue that I like to mention here, that's many people used to visit India. around 1.4 million people every year used to visit India for medical tourism and tourism also. So recent visa restriction imposed by India, it has the limited people can go there. So these people not only went for tourism, but did also some kind of business there, because some of the backpackers, the travelers, they used to bring goods in a small scale and used to sell in Bangladesh. So this is one issue that why the trade or import from India has reduced. I believe this when this visa restriction will be withdrawn, then the trade will be normalized for goods and services also. And I believe that there is an ample opportunity to increase trade between the two countries. Not only the two countries, among these SAARC countries. We need to revive the SAARC. So SAPTA should make a very vibrant regional organization. By this time, it should be an customs union if we could proceed properly. After 2014, we didn't get any meeting of SAPTA. So further liberalization under SAPTA has stopped. So we believe that if we can expedite these regional agreements, we can have much more trade within these countries. Within SAARC countries, our total trade, almost all the countries' trade is not more than 5%. But in other regional agreements like ASEAN, they have more than 12%, 14% trade within the ASEAN countries. So it's the lag. Another way we need to focus on that we need to recognize each other's standards and certificates. So if you mutually recognize certificates given by our authority like BSTI or other certification authority, and same we can recognize the certificates from Indian standardization body, then of course our trade will be enhanced. That's the way that we can move forward. Further liberalization of SAPTA, or we can also strengthen BIMSTEC or APTA, Asia Pacific Trade Agreement. BIMSTEC is not in force yet, but we are optimistic that in future BIMSTEC will be our good forum for trade between the two countries. And SAPTA is the most important that we need to go ahead. It also has service part, studies, but no progress we could see on service part. We need to focus on this issue. We have to liberalize this service agreement among the countries, and the most important service exporting country is India. So India and Bangladesh, I think both the countries have the interest to do it. Another way that we can focus on transit and also the motor vehicle agreement. SAPTA had an opportunity within the SAPTA countries that if we could sign the motor vehicle agreement, then product can be transported through one country to another country. It will help, but it's still in the unfinished agenda. So I believe it may help us if we can proceed by these issues.
You have mentioned about the visa problem for the Bangladeshis, and because the visa service of India is not operational fully after the August 5 uprising, student and uprising. But India is saying that they are very security concerned about during the attacks on these processing centers and also other outlets of Indian installations. So they have the concern. Do you have anything to say regarding the Bangladesh government is offering to extra security for its offices?
I think it's not a long-term problem. It's a short-term. But now the government is stable. If the Indian authority asks for extra security, certainly that will be given. It's the duty of the government. Government will do it. And I believe that this visa restriction should be removed, because a lot of people go to India for doing trade, for medical tourism, also for pilgrimage issues to visit some places. So this visa restriction should not last longer.
There were concerns that political uncertainty in Bangladesh might negatively impact trade between the two neighbors. How do you assess the situation?
Actually, the situation is now very calm and quiet, I believe. I think so. It's not a long-term issue. When government changes, it's a revolutionary changes, so it has some effect for the time being. But now it's coming quiet, so I believe it will not affect long term for the long term. As we have the trade relation, and Bangladesh government is not restricting anything for our industry, for our people, we always look for what that the trading relation will remain intact all the time.
India has experienced a decline in trade with Bangladesh, with export dropping by nearly 3% and imports falling by 5.7% compared to the previous year. Could this be a result of political uncertainty in Bangladesh?
It's not about the political uncertainty, as I mentioned, that the overall import of Bangladesh has declined 20% in relation to the previous financial year. So when our total import is declined 20%, so 5% decline with India is a good sign. It's not a bad sign because it's not 20% decline, it's only 5%. That means the trade relation is very good, and even in the adverse situation, as I mentioned, for our exchange rate and foreign currency reserves, we had to limit some imports. That's why the total import declined 20%. But the trading with India, because of raw materials and other goods, edible goods and other things, like we import rice, we import onion, many vegetables, many things we import from India. So these imports remain intact. Recently, we have to import eggs and other things also, so potatoes also. So these are the things. It indicates that the trade relation is very healthy, and even within in many a world shock, maybe we can sustain longer.
What are the expectations of the business community, especially traders from the interim government in Bangladesh? Are there any concern among them regarding the situation?
Actually, Bangladesh business community, they like to do their business smoothly, and especially in the banking sector, they like to deal with export and import smoothly. That's the expectation. And law and order situation, I think it's okay now. Every businessman can do their business smoothly, properly. There is no problem. And if any problem arises, the government is very much keen to support them. And I don't see any problem from the business community now. But our normal trade, that is export and import, especially the essential commodities, the export and import should be kept smoothly. It should not be interrupted. And the business community asks the government to support them with banking facilities